So the question is sensory issues, and when a sensory thing goes off, or the lighting is weird, or lights, movement, and sound all happen at once, and the kid has trouble processing it, then the kid freaks out and the environment's no good. Well, the worst place in the world for a kid who has a sensory processing challenge is a typical classroom. It makes you crazy. Young kids are unpredictable. The environment is noisy. It is visually noisy. It is sound noisy. It is noisy in every way. It's hard to interpret. So they're very difficult places. So how does DIR deal with that? The answer is beautifully simple. It's the I part of the DIR model, right? So we're talking about individual differences and working with kids to integrate that stuff. So that's what a great sensory OT is doing, right? When a sensory OT has your kid on a swing, they're not just swinging them. They're paying attention to whether the kid swings in a linear way, whether the kid can process his vestibular system, how much processing how much spinning is he going to take until he can actually begin to feel the visual system. This is the rule with brains. What you pay attention to is what your brain builds connections to. The neurologists say what you fire to, you wire to. So when you're doing this occupational therapy work, and teachers can do it too if they're supervised, or mommies can do it too, daddies can do it too, on the playground you can do it. What you're doing is you're telling the brain, oh, there's your vestibular system. It has to relate to your proprioceptive system. It has to relate to your sense of smell. Your sense of smell has to relate to your hearing and your vision. And you don't know that yet. So, oh, you're paying attention to that? That must be your brain. This is your brain talking. That must be important. I'll build a connection. And slowly but surely, kids integrate their sensory systems. So then they can actually tolerate a number of different sensory things happening at once. So the DIR model, as far as I can tell, is the only integrated model that really pays attention to sensory systems. Everybody else would say, okay, what I'm going to do for your kids, I'm going to put them in a cubby. Right, we're going to lower the visual stimulus. We're going to lower the lights. We're going to put him in a cubby. There'll be nobody to bother him, and he'll be able to focus and be able to do some stuff, which is fine. But then you have an enormous literature in ABA about generalization, because they can't do what they can do under those very carefully controlled situations anywhere else. And so that's why we need to get the kids integrated, so that they can take their brilliance and be able to express it in all different venues. So the answer is that's how DIR deals with it. It is not easy. It's not easy work. It is certainly not as easy as getting a kid to sit down in a controlled situation and I can prove to you that 8 out of 10 times the kid can perform this task. It's not as easy as that, but it is necessary and right. Excuse me. Does that answer?
Occupational therapy.
Well, or a really great DIR floor-time therapist who is being supervised and being shown what to do with the kid, or a classroom teacher who has an occupational therapist come in and consult and say, this kid needs this sensory diet 6 times a day. You're going to have to stop your school. You're going to have to get your TA to teach this part of the thing. While this kid's on an astronaut board spinning because he needs a certain amount of vestibular, and then he needs to be spun back the other way. It takes a lot of work. It takes a really dedicated group of folks. But if you find the dedicated group of folks, that's how DIR deals with it.